sure there is a button that you can use to wait, and I do not know what it is. I know there's one of these buttons. Ah, there we go. All right, that's enough.
Hello.
Hello.
Um, I know. Actually, I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm on ADHD meds, and it changed my life. I'm productive now, whereas I wasn't. So I get it. I'm very sympathetic for you. Oh shit! I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? I was saying I'm really sympathetic to you because I was or I'm on ADHD meds and mine's bad. Like I'm on a very high dose, and sometimes I'm still I'm still like overweight. I still have like lazy moments and like unproductive days still. So like
Trying to read something or do some work, and like it's not like I'm like having fun. Like I won't be doing anything. I will be looking at the work, and I'm like, I need to do this, but I won't be doing it, and I'll do
yes.
that for like 2 hours,
Do you ever do
and
the
then
task in your head? Like you imagine the entire time you're doing the task, like start to finish, and you're like, I did nothing.
yeah, it's just like absolutely nothing. It's like you come away with it. You come away from it like, oh fuck, that was exhausting.
Yeah, yeah. Even like you'll even run into like the hardships of doing it while imagining it so vividly in your mind to where you're just like, fuck, now I'm way too exhausted to actually do the thing.
No, that's the thing. It's like you start adding things in, like, and you're like, wait, well, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, I need to do that, and then you're like, oh, this is becoming overwhelming. I need to take a break.
Yeah, for real. A break from your own thoughts is such a real thing with ADHD. Like my wife will ask me to take out the dogs, and I will sit doing what I'm doing, and in my head, I'll have taken out all three dogs, two at once, and then come back in for the other, take them in. And she'll be like, "Did you take the dogs?" I'm like, "No," but like I'll somehow I kind of thought I did. It's
No, I know
ridiculous.
exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Like, it's just, it is like, it is a stage. It is incredibly overwhelming. Like, but like it is actually really frustrating. Like, because like I wouldn't mind. Like, look, I don't want to pay for a prescription. Like, I really don't.
It
Like,
sucks.
I
I
don't.
do.
That's the thing. I mean, like Americans, it's like it's the norm. In Britain, it's not. So it's like when you're paying for a prescription, well, you are. We have prescription charges, but the prescription charge is always £8. So
Oh,
like if I
oh,
had to pay
that's
for
not
like a
bad.
hundred and yeah, that's the thing. So if I had to pay for like £150 prescription, it's £8, right? Like in like for the NHS prescription, right? Always. But like so like it's a standardized charge, and like Andrea Bevan actually resigned over that charge because he was like it should be free.
Yeah, yeah.
So like the guy that established the NHS resigned over it. He was like, no, it should be free. I fucking love Bevan. I think he's such a good guy, man. Like I love that guy. But
He
like
stands by his shit. Yeah.
that's the thing. Imagine you've established a free national healthcare service, and you resign over the prescription charge of £8. Like, oh, like it wasn't even £8 at the time, but like but like like it is
Quite
like
admirable.
no, the guy had like but he went through World War Two. He's like like he's actually a big reason why we had such success in World War Two. But like there's like let's not get into Bevan anyway. But
Oh,
because it's there was like Bevan's boys that use like the really in control of like the domestic labor force and the national economy. But anyway, like so the because like essentially the workers trusted like essentially a unioner, like a union boss to he's like if he's asking us to do this, then we must really have to do this.
sure.
So but anyway, like my real problem is that like I don't want to go private, but I will go private because the alternative is essentially just suffering. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
like
I pay out of pocket to see
yeah.
the psychiatrist. My health care covers like everything, but I can't to get into a psychiatrist. It's 3 month wait just to be seen. So I pay out of pocket for my psychiatrist, and because I do, my insurance won't cover the meds, so I have to pay out of pocket for the meds, and it's like $100 sometimes.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like 150 quid up to over here for the ADHD meds like
and sometimes the pharmacist, depending on who's there, will be like, "You don't need this many." I'm like, "You're not a doctor, dude. You're a pharmacist. I have no idea how
it's
you
like
can
it's
possibly
like
jam me up here." Like,
it's like God, the prescription disagrees with you. Like
yet my psychiatrist called and argued with this guy, and he's like, "I don't know. What do you want to do? Do you want me to try to move him?" Like, nobody else has it in stock. Like, they're the only ones. So I just got to keep trying when he's not there. It's dumb. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about Christianity.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah.
um, so you're Catholic, right? Just to be clear.
I am a Catholic indeed, yes.
I remember when you told me you hadn't it must have been pretty soon after you converted because I thought legitimately you were fucking with me. Um
Yeah, like yeah, well I was like I keep going really pink. I was agnostic for about 8 years before I became Catholic. 7, 8. I think it was like 6, 7 years actually, probably. Before I became a Catholic. It might have been 8. I have to double check the timeline on that. But it was I became an agnostic when I started me bachelor's in philosophy.
yeah.
Um, and then I didn't revert to Catholicism really until like my PhD.
Wow.
Like during my PhD.
So I'm kind of curious how like how your agnosticism was because I actually tell people like I'm like 60% like think that it's like towards there is no God and if there is we can't know. And like 40% like that there probably is at least a creator. Um because I
Deism.
think that
Yeah.
yeah, just there's
So
it
somewhere
seems to be
between
pretty
agnosticism
compelling.
and deism. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
but it's tough, but I think that the thing that keeps me from being a believer in a creator is that I know how good I am at allowing my own desires for like all the benefits that would come along with that and all the questions that would be answered. Like I probably am gonna want that a lot. So even the kind of compelling arguments, I understand that I have to stretch a bit for them, even though they seem quite
you do
compelling to me.
you're doing the whole Francis Bacon thing, like hold that which you most admire or most enjoy with the greatest skepticism. You know, like that's the sort of the Baconian Bacanian like point. You know, like it is like this. You have to acknowledge a kind of like psychological biases. Like, what do I want to
Yeah,
believe and why? You know, and I think that they that does fall into it. Like sometimes it's like. And atheists will be the first to say this about most Christians. Like, oh, you just believe it because it's convenient, or you want to believe it. Like it's
I
um,
hate that, and I hate when they go like maybe 1% or less. I'm like, it's gotta be more than 1%. Come on, like it actually explains the most with the least amount of issues. Now, if we want to talk about like the Bible, sure, there's some things in the Bible that are like contradictory and all that. But like if just there
but
being a
yeah, I
creator,
mean,
like
in terms of
it's
how you
not that
interpret I mean, to be
crazy.
fair, like, well, that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of like sort of metaphysical presuppositions usually on all sides. Like, I've had this conversation in terms like in the other day, like like someone asked us like how cynical have you become since you like doing philosophy, like knowing that like the average person's like metaphysics or epistemology is just like non-existent, right? And it's just like, well, you know, you gotta. It's like it's not cynical because I'm not like, I don't think the average person can't know things. You know what I mean? And I know that they know things that I don't often. Like we'll work together. That's the idea of a society. But like when you start getting into things like ethics, politics, religion, you start realizing that people just sort of assume they have answers to these things
Yeah,
like in general with philosophical questions without actually ever thinking about them like
the average
they
person
don't.
doesn't introspect at all. They're not gonna seek outwards to like the greater questions at all. Most people just don't even they don't wanna think about those things. So it's
which i
hard.
which i can i can understand in some respects because it can actually be quite painful to think about these, like, so for example, like becoming like agnostic wasn't exactly the nicest. I remember saying this to one of my lecturers. I was saying, like, like I became agnostic. He's like, oh no, we didn't take your faith, did we? Like, and it's like, well, yeah, but okay.
Yeah,
And then
was
like
that difficult for you? Was it did it hurt more
oh
or
yeah.
less?
Oh, I mean, but I mean, like the truth hurts, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the
Sure,
that's the
but
thing. You gotta
I
be.
think it's immoral to talk somebody out of their religion because you don't know how that's going to affect them. It could be
I
devastatingly
don't,
life changing, I think.
I don't know, man. Like, I'd talk a lot of people out of their religions. Like, I think that like the way I see it is that like there is. Like there is like so for I mean like it could be devastatingly life changing for better or for worse, but I mean you can't predict that. You can and you can't hide the truth from someone. I mean there's a difference if you know that like if you're talking to someone who specifically who you know is vulnerable, right? Like you know what I mean? Like you know that they're in like like they've just lost their mom and then now you're trying to talk them out of Christianity, then you're kind of a cunt, you know what I mean?
I,
Like
I
yeah,
can talk to them
but like
about it and be critical, but I just don't think my goal can be to talk them out of it. I think that's
no, but
what makes it bad for me.
I mean like there's times where like a conversation it's appropriate to have a conversation about these things, and there's not, is what I'd say. Like sometimes you shouldn't talk about it.
Sure.
Um, but ultimately, I think you should always aim towards truth. I think what's the alternative? Like a lie. You know what I mean? And that's not really gonna like. I don't think very many people are gonna be able to justify essentially sort of abstract falsehood. Like, you know what I mean? So like, don't get me wrong. Like, if there's time, like, if someone knocks on my door and goes like, we're in Nazi Germany, where's Anne Frank? I'm lying to their face. No, she's definitely not Radek. Like, I have no idea. I've never heard of Anne Frank in my life. Like, but at the same time, like the in a conversation, in a sincere, what's supposed to be a sincere conversation about like worldviews, I think that you should be well. I think you should be willing to be sincere in order to gain anyway. Like I very much dislike that about online discourse, where I think a lot of it falls down into like insincerity. Not with you, by the way. I don't
Oh,
mean
thank you. I
that,
was
but
gonna say people that like me tell me all the time they really appreciate how genuine I am in good faith. If I had a brand, it would be being good faith with people.
yeah, like I've never had any issues in our conversations or anything like that. And I think there's actually a lot of good people online, but then the ones that come to mind is like, like as much as I actually don't really mind Destiny. I've engaged with Destiny before, but I do think that he, rhetorically, Destiny, he like he actually does like he's like trying to seek to win more than anything. And it's the same where Vorsh is even worse, right?
Uh,
Hassan's
dude,
Hassan's absolutely obscene. And they don't even hide it, you know what I mean? And
Destiny's definitely the least bad out of all of them, but he just
Destiny
like
is
straight lied to
the
me last time I talked to him, so he makes me sad.
Oh no, he does. He just bullshits, man. Like you will actually just bullshit to your face. Like you will, like the thing is, like I'm like joking during this Fallout gameplay where I'm like playing the Nietzschean and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm playing Destiny. I'm like,
I didn't
I'm
catch
beyond
that.
good.
That would have been funny.
I'm beyond good and evil. No, but I made the character. I don't know if you can see, right? I made the character on the screen, right? I'll show you him. Like he's fucking like he's a mixture of I'll he's a mixture of Hegel and Destiny, right? I don't know if you can see, like, wait a minute, like
Oh, that's really
like,
funny.
I take off his hat, man. Like, it just sort of happened. I don't know. Me stream decided this. I don't know if you can see like the blue fucking
Yeah, I saw. I could
like,
tell that part. That's pretty
yeah.
funny.
But like it's just because like obviously I'm Nietzsche during the nighttime and Hegel during the day. So like that's how we're playing it through. In terms of like philosophy, just as a fun sort of like philosophy meme. But in general, like I do think like Destiny does what's in Destiny's interest, so that's the idea. Like, and it's what he says what's in Destiny's interest. He just acts that way. At least it's how he interprets his own interests anyway, as a kind of self-motivated. If anything, I would characterize Destiny as a Hobbesian. I wouldn't even call him a Nietzschean. I think he's a Hobbesian. He's just a pure egoist, and that's why he ends up falling into like liberalism because like that's what egoists do, right? Like, but bring it back to like religion, I think that you can argue with
Yes, he
people.
definitely is. I probably know
um
Destiny a bit better than you, and it's to the T. Hobbesian.
yeah, you probably do. I mean I've engaged with Destiny a few times, and like last time was fucking awful, really.
Oh,
Like
I
to be
just mean
fair,
I've
like I
watched
don't know.
his stuff for like 5 years, like probably like 6 or 7 years now, and for like 4 or 5 of it, like religiously. So yeah,
Oh,
definitely like
100% then, like 100%,
he's the
like I watch them
embodiment.
now and
He's the
again.
second coming of Thomas Hobbes. Okay.
Well I think that in my experience of like talking to people with like in terms of like religion and so on, I think we should at least try and be sincere with each other. And like for example, like I mean, especially because these things impact everything, right? Like in terms of not just like metaphysics and epistemology, but ethics. Like which I think obviously involves metaphysics and epistemology, but like how people live their lives, right? Like take for example something like female genital mutilation, right? And like
Oh,
people who are trying to give a theological account for
thank you for the
something like that,
membership. Doggy
like
style.
that's absolutely.
Bless your
unacceptable. And I'm
soul.
going to try and talk someone out of that. Like, and if I've got to talk them out of that theological account that they're given for that, then so be it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Um, unless they were absolutely right, which I don't agree. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think there is a justification. But like, if they start saying something like a divine command or something like that, I'm going to try and talk them out of divine command theory or something. You know, like so it comes to the point where I think we do have to be sincere with people, and I think we have to recognize that ideology impacts people's lives, and in that respect, but yeah,
Um,
but yeah, it wasn't pretty, like, just to kind of even like bring it full circle, because the way that this sort of got brought up in the first place was you asked me how was
was it
it like
difficult?
essentially getting, yeah, was it difficult like getting talked out of it? Um, well, like, it wasn't directly talked out of it anyway. It wasn't like they
Was it
told me.
gradual?
It was more of like I started like I was presented with degrees of argumentation. And when I was responding to those argumentation, it wasn't even the lecturers themselves that actually made me like lose faith. I'm reading existentialism, like existentialists. I'm reading like Sartre and stuff, and I'm reading like Nietzsche and stuff like that. But it wasn't them. It was actually Christian philosophers. So like there was a
It's
tradition
very
in
interesting. That's how I got
yeah.
talked out of being a libertarian. I talked to other libertarians and read libertarian stuff. I was like, I can't.
Nah, this is wrong. Yeah, like 100%. Like, well, I was actually moved by the force of like what was called, like, it was a tradition in Christianity called via negativa, which is like basically only in the negative, right? Or like through the negative. Which is like you couldn't talk about the greatness of God directly because God goes beyond human comprehension. Bless you. Uh
Thank.
um and
Mm.
like and so God goes beyond human comprehension. He's a perfect conceivable being, and so we couldn't talk about him, and so we couldn't actually have knowledge claims about God. And so we can only talk about what God isn't. And then I thought, well, and there was an argument by a guy called Anthony Flew. um yeah uh in like five. Yeah, sweet. My girlfriend's just asking us to come off in five because I think she's made tea.
Oh,
But yeah. But there's a guy called Anthony Flew. We can continue this conversation later on if you want. Like, and we'll just make like a preliminary one. I didn't
sure.
realize like we were so close to being finished. But like anyway, like there was a guy called Anthony Flew who made the argument that the God dies the death of 1,000 qualifications, right? Like,
Sure.
essentially. And the idea was that you couldn't. There's no sense in believing in God if this is what's called the parable of the gardener. If you
Oh, yeah.
define God as essentially the intangible. Oh, do you know the parable of the gardener? Or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's great. That's really good. Like,
I
essentially,
wanted to be
like,
a theologian.
oh really? Well, that's it. Like, so, like, essentially the parable of the gardener. And if for those of you who don't know the parable of the gardener, if if you define God as essentially a being which you cannot give evidence for, um or evidence of, in the sense that he's intangible, he's invisible, he's this, he's that, then he says it becomes pointless to talk about God. And the response to that is actually, well, it's not pointless to talk about God. It's rational to talk about whether there is a God or isn't a God in relation to your own life. And that's Hick's Celestial City. And it's also the parable of the partisan and the stranger. Um, and these are like interesting thought experiments. And I do agree. And I thought, like, from this position, it's rational to be a theist or an atheist. But what
Yes.
it does show in that position is that we lack knowledge. And so agnosticism is literally agnostos, to lack knowledge. Um, and so that's why I became an agnostic. I was like, well, I lack any knowledge on this. Like, how could I give evidence one way or the other? It's rational to be one way or the other. And since I can't actually provide evidence for belief or disbelief, then I think the rational position is to say, I don't actually freaking know. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's kind of where I'm at. Since you have to go, and I would love to pick this up, can I give you like this is the idea that I was really interested in presenting you. Aside from talking to you about your faith, I have sort of like my thesis on what Christianity of Christianity of like my whole life of studying religion, and then like figured maybe you could mull it over before we can talk again. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So, if I was Christian, I would have to assume that the Bible is this and only this. The Bible has to be a non-literal book because through all the mistranslations, all the different ways that it's been printed, all the different ways the Bible's been fucked with, that the Bible must be a book that any person who is seeking God can pick it up and get exactly God's message to them in that exact moment. And every time they pick it up, they will get that exactly what God intended for them to get in that moment. And specifically through that, because this is truly the glory of the Christian God. Nothing I could ever imagine, perhaps except for creation itself, could be comparable to this feat. And so like it couldn't be literal. In Because then God's word would be skewed. And in this way it allows God's word to be untouchable by man and always there for every single individual.
I mean, I would agree with you. I would agree with you there.
Oh,
I think that's actually, I think that's sound. I actually really like that.
thank you.
And
That's
like,
my own. That's my original theory, and I'm very proud of it. But it seems like it's hard for people to wrap their heads around.
yeah, I think that what you're really saying is that, like, because I do think there's a problem with fundamentalism. I mean, as Catholics, we say it's the word of God, not the words of God.
Yeah,
Specifically making the distinction there to say like this is divinely inspired, not written by God Himself. This is so it's like it's kind of like and then it's like through the power of the Holy Spirit, which is essentially like what we would characterize essentially love, and that we can come to understand the unity of the piece, that we can actually understand what it's about, and so on, and engage in like sort of free reason. So yeah, I mean, like, and I think that the Bible's not something that you read and you can just know. I think the Bible's something that you read and you have to study and understand and reflect upon, apply it in your own life, and then as you change, the Bible is changing with you, right? As the interpreter of Scripture, and I think that people misunderstand that, like, Scripture itself isn't like as you say, like almost in the sense that like it doesn't just matter what's written, it matters who's reading it and how they're reading it, and
and
like
when
and when, yeah, like and everything about that, like in terms of, this is the study of what's called like hermeneutics, and originally it kind of actually formed because people were trying to prove like a kind of literal interpretation of the Bible, and then that failed because they realized it's impossible, because to actually get a literal interpretation of the Bible, you would like a fundamental interpretation of the Bible, you have to like sort of know the words through direct acquaintance, right? Like know the meaning of the words. Well, how do you know the meaning of, like, so how do you know the meaning of the particular aspects of the Bible? Well, you know it through reading the particular aspects of the Bible. But the only way that you understand the particular aspects of the Bible is by knowing the meaning of the piece. So it's kind of like I have to know the meaning of the words used in the Bible before I can read the Bible. But I understanding the meaning of the words that are in the Bible because of their relationship to each other within the Bible. And this is a kind of whole point about grammar and the way like language works and like the philosophy of language, such that I think that there's no, like, you can't take anything truly to be literal. It has to be like, when we talk about something being literal anyway, it's we're talking about a specific way of conveying meaning. But in reality, all meaning and like all I'd say all reality in general is a combination of, in terms of especially communicated reality, is a, in terms of like, scripture, or rather like even like language in general, and so on. But in general, reality, I would say, is a combination of interpretation and translation. And
yes,
taking that into consideration, that translation's not something that you do away with, it's something that you embrace. And that this isn't an act that, like, you could perfectly, it's like, there might be the perfect translation of the Bible. That's not what I'm saying, in the sense that there isn't a right way of interpreting the Bible, because I think there is a right and wrong way of interpreting this. But it's rather that you don't gain that interpretation by just picking up the book and then reading the sentences and taking them literally. Like, did you know like that? Like, so
there's
like I would
a
agree with you. I think.
there's a thing that I got told by a Mormon. When Mormons knock on my door, I let them in and I talk to them because I love them. They're lovely people. They're the nicest people in the
I
whole
love
world.
Mormons. Yeah, I love Mormons as well. Yeah,
And
that.
I was kind of like softly like challenging them because I could tell one was really really irritated and didn't like it. The other one really liked it. And the one that
Yeah.
liked it said, was like, how do you know that yours is the right interpretation of the word? Like you guys even have your own books. How are you able to convince yourself that like we're the ones who got it? And he said, God is not the author of confusion. And I was like, well, yeah, if there is a God, like all your silly Mormon stuff aside, I didn't say this to him, but in my head, I'm like, all this shit that they're saying aside, that has to be true. How can this possibly be the case if God is not the author of confusion, but we see what we see? And that helped me form my idea about what the Bible must be then.
Well, I think that, well, I like the way that you formulated like the way that like one that the Bible's non-literal. I like that, and I think that obviously to communicate to everyone, the Bible has to be something different to the interpreter almost, such that like a literal interpretation wouldn't work. And I think that like the I think that the underneath all of this is I think that, and I think this is probably for next time in general, like there's a sort of metaphysical presupposition, right, of how you can, how what reality is, how you engage with it, and how words relate to reality in the first place, such that
Mm.
we how we understand like any sort of description of reality. Um, and in terms of like the God being the author of confusion, you know, it's funny because it depends on what kind of confusion, right? Like I think that there's a sort of confusion. It's how it's not. The funny thing is that like it's almost the opposite of what maybe someone like Socrates would have said in terms of the Oracle of Delphi having commanded him to know thyself. It's like if this is a divine command and the goal of the Socratic reason is to actually reach confusion. It's not to like it's the opposite. It's like the fact that you think you know is the problem. It's the fact that you already have assumed you are wise that is the
Oh, sure.
problem. Right? So it's kind of like you think you understand scripture, you don't. Right? Like that's that like it's you think you understand the word of God, you don't. Right? Like because to say such a thing is to say that you understand everything. And like there's an omniscience there. So like if anything, like it's like God is the author of your confusion, and that's like a very important point, right? And this is in the ancient Greek it's called aporia. And it means an enlightening confusion.
Oh,
It's like so there's a confusion from which you realize a truth. Um,
I guess
so
that's
so
it kind of felt like how it was when he said that thing to me. But I think what they mean is that although people have misunderstood and like people, I think the idea is that if you take it literal and you look at all these different rewrites of the Bible, like this can't be like the will of God to see people separated and like divvying up over the word, rather that there was a true intent there, and that that like this is the work of man, not the work of God. All these different sects and different churches and divisions among people
yeah,
because of the word.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I agree. I think that the I think it would be better. I mean, the only reason I said that is like in the sense that I think God is the sort of when you say God is the author of confusion, it's almost like calamity or or like the opportunity almost you could say it as. Um, but you could also see it as like, and I think what I think you and him are getting at is he can't be the author of ignorance. Um,
That's probably a better way to put it. But I can tell you the way he delivered that to me hit me so profoundly. With this guy that I
oh
just
yeah,
wholesale disagreed with anyways.
no,
But
I think no, I think the Mormons are pretty cool. Like some of the Mormons are actually pretty cool. I've had some really interesting conversations with Mormons.
well, yeah, the
Uh,
missionaries they're fulfilling God's role for them. That's what they believe when they're doing it. So like a lot of them, they're like 18 years old in the prime of their life, fulfilling God's purpose for them.
they're
They're
always
fucking
in
happy,
really
man.
like a lot of them are in really good shape as well. I just want to know. I've
Yeah,
never seen a fat Mormon. I don't know. Like
because
I don't know
you
if
see
it's
them,
a
they've been
thing.
walking around knocking on doors.
That's it. Like they're walking around, knocking on doors. They're not drinking like like what you call soda. I'd call pop. Like they're not drinking like sugary drinks and stuff. Like like they're
Yeah.
just but no, like I think the Mormons are sweet a lot of the time. Like there's a naivety where I really, it's like it's kind of like not to belittle them or anything. Like like because I don't want to do that, but you know, there is like a kind of sweetness to the Mormons where you're like, oh, the Mormons, like
I
you
always say
know.
they're the Scientologists of Christianity.
I think I know what you mean there as well. One a cult, like you know, like unfortunately they are a bit of a cult.
I
Like
just mean like as far as religions go, Scientology's like, hey, this is like other religions, regardless of how wacky they are, will say like these are the crazy ones, and it's like out of Christianity, they're like these are the ones that are a little, you know.
I would go so far as I wouldn't call a Mormon a Christian if I'm honest. But at the same time,
Jesus still
I would
there.
I
He
think
just
it's very different, man. Like there's a lot like the
just
core
his dad
tenets of
actually knocked her
Christianity.
up.
It's just kind of mad. It's just kind of anyway. But the I think the what's it? It's like the ones that I think are genuinely more radical is like the Jehovah's Witnesses seem to be like like kind of radical.
Uh,
Um, in my experience of Jehovah's Witnesses, they
they're
seem to be more.
tyrannical against their own, against the people that believe for sure. You can't even celebrate your
Yeah,
birthday.
yeah.
It's
There's like there's a lot of stuff. But anyway, well, I just in my experience of Jehovah's Witnesses, more than like actual like a sort of like it's just pure anecdote. Really, what I'm referencing is like Jehovah's Witnesses seem to be the ones that have had the worst effects to the Mormons seem to be like fairly happy and like okay for the most part, where like at least the ones that have like been raised in it and like stuff like
Oh,
that.
sure. And they get a bad
Um,
rap because of Jehovah's Witnesses. They get grouped into the same ones because they're both knocking on the doors.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. But I
I
think in
feel bad
general,
for
like
them.
I think they're wrong, and I would try and convince them out of it. And like that's the thing. Like so, which I don't know if it's a good thing. Like I don't know. I think it's a good thing, but like whether it's a good thing for them, you know, like. But
Oh,
anyway,
it would ruin their life.
it might save their life. You never know. Like, you know, like literally save their life. You convince a Jehovah's Witness not to fucking.
No, Mormon.
Oh yeah, like, or even like, actually, can Mormons actually accept blood? I don't even know if Mormons can accept blood. Can
If a Mormon
Mormons?
stops being a Mormon, like they're disowned from their whole family, all their
Oh,
ever like
I
their
know.
life's effectively over. They got to start all
Oh no,
over.
they actually do allow organ transplants and there we go.
Oh,
Okay, so they do allow blood transfusions. I was just making the point of
who's
like,
Jehovah's Witnesses? The no medicine ones?
yeah, they're not allowed like blood transfusions and stuff, man.
Jesus.
Like, so, like, you're in a
Sorry.
car crash, you're not allowed to take, like, oh, don't worry, man. Like, the Catholics would be the worst to blaspheme. Like, you know, if I heard the Irish, bloody hell. Like, you know, but yeah, like, you know, I was thinking you might save their life. Okay, I have to bounce because my girlfriend's moving through, but I really appreciate the conversation, man. And we'll
Uh,
definitely carry it on.
yeah, just hit me up. I'd love to have a more in-depth conversation about religion with you. Sorry to I know you're late because of me.
Oh, no, no, don't worry about it. I'm late because of me. Don't you worry about it, man. And I'm sorry to like Ryan in the call waiting. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be able to let you call in or anything. But anyway, it's been really great talking to you, man, and have a good one.
Thanks, you too. You know. Okay, cool. He bounced me out.
Try to get some perspective. Check out the webinar. Bye, everyone.
So I'm gonna try to catch up on your chat here. So I sort of decided after I made the title that the Resident Evil was a red herring, and I'll explain that in a minute. Let's see here. Mormons, when they are not the majority, are amazing people. If you ever live in Salt Lake City or other places where the majority, they get to be a lot less kind and likable. Yeah, because they're not trying to convert anybody. They have the numbers. They don't have to. Okay, I did address that one. Isn't that weird given how many people are religious in the USA, at least, so that it translates to most people come across as being full of shit? Yeah, so the problem is that everybody feels like, to me, feels like they all have like their own personal interpretation of the entire religion. And like nobody who's religious that I talk to, like if whenever they try to like preach anything about the religion, they're like, well, you know, it's really weird that you want to follow this tenet, but you're willing to ignore all these other things. It seems like maybe you're not that much of a believer, that you're just sort of picky choosy, kind of want to do what you feel like you want to do. You're probably going to do the things that line up with your morals, and you might be willing to make some compromises. But at the end of the day, if you really thought that this is like how it is, you probably wouldn't be so picky choosy. Um, oh shoot, so sorry. I was coughing and I thought I unmuted, but I didn't. The problem is that like they have a bunch of sets of rules for like everybody else when they want to be preachy and stuff, but then ultimately those rules aren't applied to themselves. And I think this is pretty fucked up. And ultimately it's dishonest. And when you try to like point this out or talk to them, they react like an alcoholic who's getting their addiction brought to the forefront for the first time. And I just think that's bad. Ooh. I have a really, really special game. Oh wow, it even has full screen windowed. I don't know if that's how it seems to me too. It's just weird what's going on with religion. Yeah, so I think most people get into it like from like dishonest like from like a dishonest start. That's how it feels to me. And so they're kind of comfortable like carrying that dishonesty along with them through all of it. And it bums me out, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. Change this. Yeah, change my titles. So I have a game that I just bought because I found out about it and I was like, how do I not play this? Like get this and play this on stream. For one, the game looks amazing. And two, uh the premise of the game is amazing. I like the style of it a lot too. Oh shit, I just realized that my kick title also like the stream chat. Oh yeah, please do like the stream. My God. Um edit stream info. Boom. So I'm pretty new to like doing any kind of stuff with gaming, but I feel like wait, why won't this? Oh, that's right. I have to use game capture, not window capture for some reason. So I got this, which is Alex Jones' New World Order Wars, and it's based on like the game design is very clearly based on Contra. So it's like a Contra style game, but it's Alex Jones like fighting the New World Order. And like when I seen it, I thought it was somebody just making fun of Alex Jones, but like Alex Jones like this is his game, like he approves the game and everything, which is crazy to me. Because this game's like an Alex Jones meme all the way through.
Little Dr. Fuker has hatched a plan to turn everyone into a gay frog by injecting you with an mRNA LGBTQ tadpole technology vaccine that depletes your testosterone and turns you into a rainbow amphibian.
That's amazing.
Ready.
Give me
Go.
1 second.
I'm here to save the beagles. Stop torturing the puppies.
Alright. Oh yeah, this is good. Hey! This is a knife? Oh yeah, Contra style power-ups? This is
Say
awesome.
hello to my little friend. "911 was an inside job. It was a controlled demolition."
He said 911. This is so good.
Woo! Machine gun. The moon landing was a
That-
hoax.
Does that look like a rainbow dick? That's what I see.
Machine gun.
Oh shit! Virgin billionaire?
I'm going to lower the world's population. Try again. I'm going to lower the world's population.
So
I
Contra's
thought you
definitely a
did
bit harder.
computers, libtard. This is as fake as Big Mike being a woman.
I just want to be clear that I didn't intentionally, like, mean to be deceitful about the Resident Evil 4. I just remembered that I got this specifically to stream it. I forgot that I had it because I just bought it. So I was like, oh yeah, I figured I could beat this in like a stream.
The answer to 1984 is 1776.
I'm like, there's no way this game's gonna be like that long. It's like a $20 game, but I got it for like 17 or
Say
something.
hello to my little friend.
Oh, shit.
I'll eat your ass. Machine gun. It's Dr. Fuka, who reportedly created HIV in a lab.
Oh, it's Dr. Fauci.
Take
Okay.
extra shots.
Oh,
I'll eat your ass. Take extra shots.
okay. Take extra shots. Can I shoot those? Nope.
I love needles. Big Pharma paid me big bucks.
Oh shit. I really like that you can tell that Alex Jones. Hey, Emily, thank you so much. Didn't you get gifted a membership too? Hot damn. Thank you, thank you. I like that you can tell Alex Jones did all the voices.
Mission complete.
At least all of them that I've heard so far.
The big tech crybaby tyrants have banned us all, locked us in our virtual cages. They're not human, and they're wiping us off the face of the earth with a smile on their satanic faces. But I can stop it. I am prepared to single-handedly defeat Big Tech Lizard Nerd and free the patriotic Americans from the mass censorship hell. Ready? Go! You can't silence me, libtards. I'll destroy you. I'll eat your ass.
Shit, can't crouch. Contra has crouching. So I keep trying to crouch even though it's not an option. They should patch crouching in.
Say hello to my little friend.
They did promise updates to the game too.
I'll eat your ass. Yowza.
Ouch.
Try again.
I found
Machine
out about
gun.
this game because somebody in Wick's Discord asked Wick how much to get him to stream it, and I was like, I need that game. Wait, are the... Okay, yeah. I think those are supposed to be terrorists. That's really funny. What the fuck? Oh, shit. Okay. Didn't get me, didn't get me.
Say hello to my little friend. Get wrecked.
Yeah, this is like a Contra game on
They're turning the
super
friggin'
easy.
frogs game.
Wow, these globalists are taking over, man.
Oh, no way.
This game is truly fascinating, man.
This is phenomenal.
Alex, these gay frogs are nuts, dude.
Super male vitality activated. Say hello to my little friend.
There was like
The
no
answer to
real point in
1984
having him there.
Is 1776.
Oh man. What's going on in Smith's subreddit? Tell me.
.911 was an inside job. It was a controlled demolition.
Wait, I can't aim diagonal? That's lame.
The elites don't want you to know this, but the ducks in the park are free. You can take
Machine
them
gun.
home. I have 558 ducks. The elites don't want you to know this, but the ducks in the park are free. You can take them home. I have 558 ducks.
I'm so impressed that like he
Machine
just
gun.
obviously doesn't give a shit. Cause like he's the butt of all of these jokes by default.
Say hello to my little friend.
I guess to be fair, if you're Alex Jones, there is more money in Adam Westing at this point. There's gotta be. Whoa!
They're turning the friggin' frogs gay.
Well, he's been having a meltdown over receiving harsh criticism for sending out public parasocial entities to Mr. On the Mr. Return server. Yeah, I saw that. I watched his both of his videos on it.
Machine gun.
I commented on his last video.
Let's free the patriots and defeat the globalist tech geeks.
That's awesome. I just saw somebody made videos where there's like a woman reading his letters and like a really it was like a really like almost like beautiful voice and with like a nice backdrop and stuff. I thought that was really funny. I thought that was like probably like the best way to like. I think that's like a really cool way to troll somebody. If you want to troll somebody, because like you can tell they put some effort in, and there's like actually something like like of value there. Like even if like you're mad that you're getting trolled, like you still got to be like, wow, that's what's up.
You will join the Matrix.
No, thought please.
You will
Don't hit
be
me.
silenced.
Oh shit. Oh wait, I'm supposed to drop down. Yeah, okay.
AI is God.
So AI is God. I love it.
You will be silenced.
I mean, like the gameplay on this
You
is kind of
suck,
like.
big tech lizard nerd. I'm saving the Patriot. Mission
I don't
complete.
want to interrupt him. It's kind of like Dad's first video
Jeffrey
game.
Epstein may be dead, but his island is still ripe and full of pedophiles and satanic child sacrifice. Babies are being kidnapped and are being turned into a stew for the globalist elites to eat so they can live forever. The Crooked Witch of the West Wing is leading the charge, and I am going to get between her and those poor babies. They will not be turned into stew, not on my watch.
Oh, the soundtrack like screams Mega Man.
Go! Save the babies!
Give me 1 second. I gotta check something real quick. Okay. My main criticism of Smith and Mr. Girl, my main criticism of Smith and Mr. Girl in all this is that they don't seem to be meaningfully addressing how parasocially attached Smith is. I mean, I don't see you or writing letters to that person. So even when I was reading it, I couldn't help but think like, because I've even expressed this too when people talked about like my relationship to like Mr. Girl. It's kind of weird when people bring parasocial. They're like, well, it's kind of not even parasocial because like I talked to him off stream, on stream. It's not like a one-sided thing. Like there is something more than parasocial there. But I think when Smeth's writing those letters, it comes off as being. When Smeth's writing those letters, it appears to a lot of people as like the epitome of what parasociality is. It's like it's this kind of letter that somebody writes to somebody from afar. So I understand, but they have addressed it by saying that it's not parasocial, it's social. It's not a parasocial relationship, it's a relationship. That is them responding to it. People don't like that answer because they feel like they want something addressing the parasociality, but they're just saying like it's not parasocial. And that sort of resonates because it felt a lot different being a Mr. Girl fan before I had any like real interactions with him. Especially before I felt like I could message him, not just in his chat. That definitely made the tone and like feel of like how I thought of him and stuff a lot different. So I guess a good question of, for that kind of criticism is, do you think that like Mr. Grown Stardust had a parasocial relationship, or there's a personal relationship and a parasocial relationship? For example, I think you are responsible in your parasocial aspects. I think Smith wants more of a personal relationship and abuses equity in it. Well, I'll say this for sure. If Smith doesn't agree, I guess it's very hard for me to hold the idea that you can have a parasocial relationship and an actual relationship with somebody at the same time. They seem like they're at odds to me. And if somebody thinks that the same way that I do, I don't think it's possible that they can possibly address a criticism that they think is, it's like to them you're criticizing something that doesn't exist. So just by like the best response that they can give is to explain like why your criticism is like about something that doesn't exist. I don't think it's a dismissal of the criticism. It's just saying like this has nowhere to land. But you can disagree with that still too, sure. But I just think that's what's happening there. I don't think like it's an effort to like not engage. I just think that it's like an impossible thing to engage with if you don't agree with like the limits of parasociality, or like where the lines between parasociality and like,
say hello,
I guess,
to my little friend.
What would disqualify something as being parasocial?
They're turning the friggin' frogs gay.
And I think really any idea about that is valid because we just don't know that much about parasociality. I tend to lean towards their way of thinking, but I don't know that it's true.
Alpha power.
I do also feel really awkward. Like I've had some like private DMs with Mr. Girl, and I always feel a little bit like
machine gun.
So I certainly do the same thing that I do the thing that like they both have talked about, where like I let Mr. Girl decide those boundaries.
Down, rapist.
And if I
have sexual relations with that saxophone,
if I want to message him or whatever and talk to him about something, then I don't feel like it's on me to hold the boundary. Like if he doesn't want me to, he can tell me that. I'm not gonna try to figure that out for him. But I am still conscious of like that maybe it's kind of weird. So I try not to like abuse the fact that he doesn't mind me DMing when I do.
I did not have sexual relations with that saxophone.
His name is the Rapist.
Global warming is a hoax. I did not have sexual relations with that saxophone. Take that, Jeffrey Epstein, wimp!
In case you couldn't tell, that boss was Bill Clinton.
I'm here to save the poor innocent babies.
If you started a fan and seemed to emulate almost everything about your idol, I would say that the parasocial aspects are really the person. Like if I met my favorite artist, I don't think I could meaningfully have a personal relationship with that person by doing stand level behavior to get their attention. Sure, I can understand that. I think, so if that's really what your concern is, I think part of engaging with that and criticizing that in a helpful, productive way. It can't be to keep on repeating the same criticism that's not landing. If you really care and you want to see something like positive change from that, wait. Oh, Trump's like he's like a little sidekick buddy. Then I think what you have to do is because it's not working and it's making Smith upset, obviously. So if you want it to land, I think you're just going to have to come at it from another angle. If that's like if your concern is that like you think this isn't good and it's not good for him and you care about like his well-being or whatever, then I would say that you can't just keep hammering the same point. Because especially if Mr. Grill agrees.
You are a patriot and a hero.
Sorry, I didn't want to miss any voice lines. Especially with Mr. Grill agreeing with them, that specific criticism is never going to land now.
Defeat the globalists.
Like I said, I'm probably more on their side of it, but I'm able to understand what other people are saying. I understand what you're saying. So this is like, this is my advice aimed towards
You are a tremendous
end of it.
warrior.
I'm angry with Smith, to be honest. Still not engagements with him haven't been helpful, admittedly, but I don't know how to engage with him where he wouldn't see my perspective as anything but bad faith. Yeah. I agree. Based on what I've seen, at least.
Say hello to my little friend.
Oh no! I tried jumping over that machine gun because I didn't know if I was going to be in a spot where I could go back
Look
and
at
grab
those
it.
fake news gay frogs.
Nice.
Wow.
I really like the animation on the bats. Or like, sorry, the character
Say
design.
hello
on
to
them.
my little friend.
I feel like I saw a surprising amount of good faith engagement with Smeth's open letter, and he seemed to have written it off. Yeah, I think he's mostly focused. Oh wait, never mind. That's
Machine
not.
gun.
I misinterpreted what you just said. Part of the issue is that it's not like he responded to my comment, and he said too. He's like trying to ride the line between what's good for him and what's good for his audience. And I think that it's just gonna end up with there's gonna be like a mixed amount of results, more or less. I don't know. I don't think that the kind of things that he's doing can, at least at this point, be exactly what he wants it to be. And he's able to look at the criticisms, take them in, and then like give like nuanced, good faith responses to all of them. Because like this is still like a pretty new thing, and what he's doing is pretty vulnerable. So I think there has to be like some sort of acclimation to this kind of content that he's doing before he's going to be able to engage differently with it. That's just my guess, though. But that being said, Smith is aware of the consequences of what he's doing, and like I guess to me, I just think of it as like this is his journey. I think it's kind of hard for me to watch some of it because I know it's got to be really difficult for him. But like I said in the comments on this video, like that's his journey, man. That's like that's him figuring all this out. And I think that's what a lot of this is like this is him like legitimately trying to figure out how he feels about all this. And part of that's going to be engaging with some criticism and not. And reading a lot of criticisms.
What's so funny now, dumb witch?
Saved all the little baby
Mission
Bobby Hills.
complete.
Let's see here. Or it almost feels like they don't know how to set healthy boundaries for themselves in terms of
New
responsibility
record.
handling, forming any attachments to idol figures. So I Well, let me read what All Rounder said. Do you see a parallel between Smith doing things that are extremely vulnerable and opening himself up to a lot of abuse, and Max doing a similar thing often? Yeah, but I also think that they're allowed. Like, I think it's okay to do that. I don't think that Smith or Mr. Girl ends up running headfirst into an unexpected amount of pushback in the form of abuse. When people are being abusive towards them, like, I think that they actually understood what they were signing up for. As much as anybody really can, right?
Castro Jr. is on the
wait a
loose,
minute.
trying to force experimental shots while looking like a fruitcake in the process. The Canadian truckers are
Dude.
protesting the oppressive Canadian government. All of their funds have been frozen by the New World Order banks until the citizens relent. Castro Jr. must be overthrown.
If I beat this in under 2 hours, I'm returning it and getting my money back for sure, but...
Ready. Go.
Yeah, so it's kind of tough.
Unfreeze their money, you communist scumbags. They're turning
Because
the friggin'
I
frogs.
think
Say hello
I fully
to my
understand
little friend.
the criticism on everybody's end. Even the ones that I don't agree with. I agree with some, and I don't agree with others. I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, because I've seen Smith discount some criticism
Try again.
that I thought was pretty valid. And then I've seen a lot of criticism that I think...
The answer to 1984 is 1776.
Here's the problem. Smith is a very expressive, very emotional, and artistic kind of person. So he likes to do things in a way that is very emotional, very open, and very artistic. And I think this comes across to a lot of people as weird. And it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. And some of the things where I think there's some parts that people are misinterpreting. Like, part of Smith doing that stuff and part of how he writes it is because, like, this is, like, it is honest, but at the same time, I think that part of it is, to him, art. So he's trying to elicit a certain response from people when he does it as well. That's why it's public. This is a guy who went to art school, you know? And because it is deliberately being put public, you have to consider this aspect of it. And when he's already seen how people react to it, if he does something similar, he knows that he's going to get the same kind of a response from it, right? What's my Steelman? What's your Steelman of argument? That little heart on YouTube's chat always covers up the last thing people says. Steelman of arguments criticizing Smith. My Steelman of the criticisms of Smith and how he's been doing these letters is that let me try to word this correctly. I'm gonna play while I do because I do want to try to get it under 2 hours as possible. Hi, how are you? Sorry. So guys, give me 1 minute. My wife just came home. She had a migraine. I will. Thank you. I read yours all rounder. I'm gonna try to think of how to steel man all the criticisms. I mean, so mainly the simplest version of it is that
These gay frogs are really
Wait.
grossing me out. What is going on? Alex
Dr.
Jones,
Johnson?
you are a hero.
the primary criticism is that
Alex Jones is saving the world.
Smeth's letters to Mr. Girl are taking things too far. In all fairness, I would say that it's almost too easy to criticize. Yes. Like, I think that criticizing it is easier than not criticizing it and trying to consider what it is. But I'm steel manning here, so let me think. Wait. Okay, it is faster to click more times. Oh.
Death can't stop.
Yeah, but he's taking it too far. That this kind of public display of affection for an online creator is clearly an unhealthy parasocial attachment, in that
Death can't
Smith should, instead of doing that, should be trying to figure out.
No one is talking about your right.
He should be trying to figure out how to deal with his parasocial attachments
turning the friggin'
instead
frogs,
of like indulging in them and making them worse. I think this is like the primary criticism that people
real.
can say in like much more verbose ways. But like, hey, this isn't good for you. It's not good for Mr. Girl. And it's also like uncomfortable for the people that are reading it. We think that you
Flamethrower. They're turning the friggin' frogs gay.
should. I think people are saying like you need help by a way of saying like discounting the kinds of things that he said about this is the way that like a therapist would tell you to engage in it.
Lottery is
And
rigged.
I think Smith sort of set himself up for people saying like a therapist wouldn't do that. But I want to say this every single time he read off somebody's criticism saying like a therapist would never tell you this if a therapist told you that they should lose their license. That shit is always so fucking cringy to me. Therapy is always a very personal thing for each individual person. And you know what? It is possible. It sounds a bit loud. Okay, I'll turn it down some. I thought it was loud too. I will say that it is actually possible that a therapist, if he explained the entire situation and like a therapist understood all this, it's not impossible that a therapist would tell you to do exactly that. People don't know that. Nobody who's criticizing him is a therapist. And I think that it's really, really stupid for people to say these kinds of things. I think it's incredibly arrogant to make those kinds of claims and throw them at him. Like if you can't come up with a criticism that isn't just saying like no therapist would ever tell you, like then you don't have any real criticisms. Like you should just like save it. There's no need to invoke that. Obviously, this is what he thinks, and your personal opinion is not going to change. Like, you're not giving any evidence of this. You're not showing any reason why a therapist wouldn't tell you to do this. These are just your opinions and how you feel about it, and he's given how he feels about it. And so I don't understand what the purpose of that kind of criticism is. Like, it can't really serve to progress any arguments. It's just very bizarre to me to make those kinds of arguments. I also seen, there's a guy who is, I don't know if he's a psychiatrist or if he just works in a psych hospital, but he did some Ren song reviews, and he was critical of how Ren presented like medical professionals in Sick Boy and in High Ren, because he is like a mental health professional, and people were saying things like you should lose your medical license and things like that, like ridiculous statements to make. None of these people have any idea. Even if people are in therapy or they've received therapy or like whatever it is, I don't care. Like, you're just never in a position to make those kinds of claims. I think it's like really, really arrogant to do it. See, this is gonna sound bad faith, but I sincerely think he's treating Mr. Grill like as a cult leader. I remember he said he realized he was in a cult before, and it seemed like he needs something like that in his life to give him direction. That's why I have been reading his parasocial behavior here. So I think that
You're going
like you don't
down,
have to. It doesn't have to be a
Jr.
cult. Oh, wait a
We're
minute.
freezing your money for your safety.
It doesn't have to be all that to explain his behavior at all, right? You can just say that Smith really does look up to Mr. Grill. He's obviously inspired him to stream. Like, this seems very, very obvious to me.
We're freezing your money for your safety.
Fuck. He's been a big inspiration to Smith, and I think that Mr. Grill has been an inspiration for Smith to, like, have a better understanding of himself, too. I think that,
No one is taking your rights.
and Smith obviously is a fan, but, I think that he has what he considers to be, like, a really meaningful connection with the stuff that Mr. Grill says and does. And I think
No
that it's
one
okay.
is taking your rights.
I just think that the way that he chooses to engage with it is super
We're freezing
easily
your money for your safety.
interpreted
Mission
in a way
complete.
that it doesn't have to be. I see Smith is viewing Max as having traits that Smith really admires and wants to strive towards. Yeah, he does have a lot of love for him, but the boundaries put in place are pretty healthy. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think
This
that
is
most
it,
people.
folks. The New World Order headquarters, where every slimy, dirty, traitorous, no-good, lying scumbag Hitlers do their planning. Davos, Switzerland. There's
Oh shit! I didn't mean to skip it. Force of habit.
ready.
If this is the last level, then I definitely get to get a
New World Order
refund.
headquarters. This place is lame. Global warming is a hoax.
All Rounder, what you're saying is basically what I meant when I said, like, he looks up to him. As both a streamer, I would say, and as, like, and as, like, a human being.
911
I think,
was an
like,
inside
this
job.
is-
It was a controlled demolition.
I feel like that this is, like, almost, inarguable. I think the part that a lot of people get caught up on is that this is what I read from, like, a lot of the criticisms in the best faith way possible. I would never do that, and I don't know anybody else that would do that. And reading it makes me uncomfortable, so it's got to be something unhealthy. That's what I think a lot of people are saying, but just because the first two parts are true doesn't mean the last part has to be true. I really admire that Smith does that stuff. Because I don't see it the same way that everybody else does. I think it's actually, like, quite brave to do it. He really is putting himself in the fire, and doing stuff that nobody else really does have the balls to do. And it's also honest. And so I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. Now, if Mr. Girl said, hey, stop doing that, or even if Mr. Girl said, like, I don't like this, but I don't feel like it's okay for me to tell you not to
This
do
is
it,
as fake as Big Mike being a woman.
I would have criticisms then. I would say, hey, this isn't good. You shouldn't be doing this. But Mr. Girl hasn't said that. And, so, like, I just don't see there being, like, a real issue with it at all.
Right. Alpha power. Say hello to my little friend.
You know,
I'll eat your ass.
and I'll even say, too, like, watching those streams really made me think a lot. Oh, that was you that said that. Okay. That tracks.
Yeah. Say hello to
So,
my little friend.
When I was watching it and going over it all, it really made me think about Nazi
You abuse
Dragon.
our open
Sorry,
society.
that was not. That's not what it made me
No,
think
you
about.
love the Nazis, you Nazi scum.
It really made me think about when people
You abuse
make
our
reference
open
to
society.
me and Mr. Grill being friends, or when they just ask me, like, are you and Mr. Grill friends? And I say no. I'm like, you know, I wouldn't really want to be Mr. Grill's friend. I'm, like, pretty cool with being a viewer. Like, I think it's kind of hard for me to exactly understand how I feel about it, because when we play like Mortal Kombat and stuff, it does kind of feel like we're friends with the shit talking and stuff and all that, and then eventually like playing the game. But I really like that. I like when we have certain engagements and we have the familiarity with each other, to where it's like, it feels like there are moments where when we're streaming that Mr. Girl and I can enter this like temporary area of friendship. Where it feels supernatural and fluid, and I really like that. However, I wouldn't.
Was a hoax.
I don't think that I would actually want to have like a general friendship with him, because then it would make things weird. It would make things difficult. I'd feel compelled to be more critical to him, like directly and personally, about some things that just wouldn't make sense for me to do now. I'd feel like a greater sense of duty to him about some things, and I think that would be bad.
Alpha power.
Fucking bats, man. But I think that when I would just say like no and I wouldn't want to be, I feel like that didn't quite cover like the fullness of the answer that was there. And watching Smeth go through the streams that he did, where he read the letter and stuff, it really helped me like suss that out.
Try it again.
I think like the streamer relationship that the girl and I have, where it can brush up against and feeling like we're friends when we stream specifically, and keeping it within the confines of that is like perfect for me. And I think that I'm pretty happy that he had the boundaries that he has that sort of like accommodated that forming that way. Giant purple octopus. Whoa! I expected the boss to be a bit more memey. Oh, god damn it.
Death can't stop.
Still had 114 machine gun shots left. Shit. I have so many fucking lives. Oh, it's better to stand up here, then I can drop down when I go to get attacked by one. Shit. Why couldn't I just drop down? Are these not dropped down? Oh, they are. Let's go.
Yeah! Super male vitality activated.
Oh. What's this boss called? All powerful globalist.
Try it again.
I don't know. It does seem like the human head on this Satan looks to be certain. Does seem to have a particular religious affiliation based on how they look. A little sussy. Oh, wow.
The New World Order is taking over, and resistance is futile.
Shit. Let's go. Haven't been watching too much, but just caught a tiny bit of.
The New World Order is no more. Mission complete.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. Let's see. Okay, cool. I get to return it for a refund. It was definitely under 2 hours. Hell yeah, dude. Playtime 50 minutes. Definitely not worth $17. But I mean, it's funny and all that. If it would have kept on going, definitely worth the money. But it's not. It's not nearly long enough and all that. Support. Go with this. Not fun. Quite. Hi, Cure Dog. All right, cool. Beat the game in 50 minutes. Hey, chill. And I got to request a refund, which like is gonna auto accepted because I played the game for less than 2 hours. As per Steam's refund policy. Cure, stop. Oh yeah, it doesn't show you your final score. I just also wanted to flex on the community board and kind of let people know that, like, if you don't really want to support Alex Jones, but you want to get this game for the memes, it's totally beatable in under 2 hours, and you can get it refunded after you beat it. Oh, somebody else did. That's so funny. The Globos don't want you to know this, but you can complete the game in 40 minutes, and the Steam refund policy is under 2 hours. Yeah, I guess I probably would have beaten it quicker if I wasn't pausing it to talk to chat and like talk to my wife. But it's super worth the cost of free if you buy it and do it how I did it. And Cure Dog, they're allowed to play. You don't have to yell at them. My dog's upset that the other dogs are playing. She doesn't want to play with them. She just doesn't want them to play. Yeah, so mainly I was streaming to talk perspective philosophy and all that. I'm gonna put a wrap on this one for now, but I'm gonna be streaming later on tonight. I think tonight I'm gonna do Mr. Girl and do Mr. Girl and Destiny stuff, and then I think after that, I might play some Resident Evil. Depends on how much I'm feeling that. If I'm a little burnt out after the first one, I'll play some Resident Evil. Maybe throw in another video about polyamory because I seen that person. I really like the videos that person we watched the last two videos on. She's really, really good at delivering quality information about polyamory. Very impressed. Um, so if I'm gonna play Resident Evil, I'll probably throw up another one of her videos just to like get us a bit more prepped for the 13th. But by the way, Smeth is moderating the debate. It's me and Counterpoints. Smeth's moderating the debate, and on Sunday, at 2 p.m. Eastern, Chris Speaks and I are going to be having the first episode of our relationship advice show. Something can be brave to do, but unhealthy for you. I think the issue for me is that what there is to garner by posting this stuff publicly, but ridicule. Well, it seems like Smith wants to tell Mr. Grill something with these letters. I don't know why he can't personally message him something like that. So if Mr. Grill feels he needs to, he can set strong boundaries about this relationship. I think Mr. Grill still can. He can tell him he doesn't want Smith to do this stuff, and that if he's going to continue to post letters like this, then he's going to enforce a stronger boundary. The thing that I think that you're missing, Emery, is that when somebody wants to do something, so like there's one big thing that I strongly disagree with Mr. Girl about is that so like his like when he holds boundaries with people for their own good, I think there's a big part, there's like an underlining text of that Mr. Girl saying, because I think it's for your own good, I have to do it for my own good. Because that's just where he feels that need to, he feels that call to responsibility, but ultimately it is for Mr. Grill's own good because he can't not set up a boundary if he feels like the other person's going to get hurt by it. But like, really, I don't believe in stopping people from doing something that they believe is right for them just because I think it might be bad for them, for the most part. So even if ultimately like you think that's not going to be good for Smith, I think Smith has to do that and figure it out on his own, and that's his right to figure that out. Smith envies you somewhat because from his perspective, it does seem like you have a closer friendship playing MK on stream, and he envies Lav, the daughter arc, and he probably feels he deserves more from Max. Smith feels it's more pushy with Max's boundaries to private him messaging. Yes. He feels the relationship is public and he wants to keep it that way. The artistic part of posting on the sub is to show others how to be bravely vulnerable and honest. Yeah. And then also, too, it allows him to make the videos about it, too, which I think is cool. I'm glad I got to see them. So I think that there's some truth to that. I think that Smith might. I have no idea. Let me put it this way. I don't know if I think there's truth to that first part, but I think there's truth to the second part of what you said, Emery. He envies Lav. I think he said as much, or at least it's something in that area. And then the playing MK on stream. I know he made a remark about it once. When he wanted to talk to Mr. Girl, Mr. Girl said to call in on the hotline. And he said, like, well, maybe you'd feel differently if I played MK or something like that. And Mr. Girl's like, you're right. It seems like you feel like you were disrespected. I understand. And I think that was a learning experience for Mr. Girl. So the Lav thing, I think that Smith does make a good point in that he doesn't understand why Lav gets special treatment. I think that does frustrate him a lot. I mean, he said as much. So that's just sure. But like, I mean, if Smith really wanted to be able to play games with Mr. Girl, he could just buy Smash and he could play Smash with Mr. Girl. I'm sure no problem on stream. Like him and I have played MK. I don't think that would be a problem. I just don't think that that's the kind of thing that he's actually looking for. I just think that he didn't like that one time that he asked to do a stream with him and he said no, but he had said yes to me because I played Mortal Kombat. That's my guess. And this is all speculation too. And everything that I'm saying, like I'm just sort of guessing and riffing off the top of my head. I don't have any super strong feelings about these things. A lot of this, like I just watched this the other day and I'm just doing my best to respond to you guys. And I definitely not in any way, shape or form, like making a strong claim about how Smith feels. I said, I'm mostly just riffing here and trying to respond to you guys. Um, I would definitely like I respect Smith a lot, and I would always prefer him to just like speak for himself and not have me speak for him. But I'm also not going to be dishonest with you guys when you ask me something either. I just wanted to make it clear that like definitely I'm like definitely riffing here, and that anything that I say about how I think about it or how I feel about it, I would say would be absolutely secondary to anything that Smith says about it. Um, but maybe I'll ask Smith if he wants to come on and talk about it, because you guys have a lot of interest in it, and like the more that I talk about it, the more I'm like getting uncomfortable trying to speak for him, because like it's really just off the cuff. Um, and I'm starting to feel like how do I feel about it? I guess I'm starting to feel like if I'm saying something that's really misaligned with how he feels about something, um, that he have the right to be really upset with me. And that sort of made me reflect and go like, I need to be really, really clear about like how I'm responding with this. And I would just much rather hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Um, I'm pretty angry at Max for falling in love with Lav enough to call himself her father and commit to her his literal life. I think that part, like that is very contentious to a lot of people I know. But I think that the whole father daughter thing, it was fine. I think that it was like a joke that also that was also at the same time like kind of descriptive in how they viewed the relationship, both of them on both of their ends. Like I said, Lab said it to me herself. I have a conversation with her that I recorded for myself. She told me which parts could be like she'd be like, this is off the record. And I was like, oh Lab, I told you in the beginning, it's all off the record here. I just wanted to get a better understanding. But I might talk about some of the stuff that you say, but if you say it's off the record, then I won't even talk about that stuff. Um, so like I have that just for like my own benefit. Um, and yeah, it's that she viewed it the same way as I've described it the whole time. And it seemed like up until she didn't like how those kinds of boundaries that would come into play with that sort of dynamic came up, that she didn't have a problem with it. So I think it's okay. You'd be good in helping Smith understand the sub's response, also in helping us understand Smith's position better. I didn't think it was weird or anything. I just couldn't believe he committed such a flawed and to such a flawed and toxic person that could seemingly hurt Max. I think Lav's exactly the kind of person that Mr. Girl would want to be there for. I think that there's enough traits of Lav that Mr. Girl is able to see himself in her quite well, and seeing how people engage with her and stuff probably freaked him out. And I think that whenever somebody wants to help somebody else, I think it's a good thing. Even if it only serves to hurt you by doing it, or whatever, I don't think that the desire and attempt to help somebody should be judged whether it was good or bad based on the outcomes of that. But I also think that whether any action is good or bad isn't based on the outcomes of that. But I think when I'm talking about when you try to help somebody, I think when you try to help somebody, it should just be about what it's about. I used to say a lot. I don't say it as much anymore, but I still think that I have the same inclination. Is that one of my goals in life is to help as many people as possible. And it's never about like what I get out of it. It's just like what I want to do. One of the things I think about a lot, I may have talked about this, I don't remember, but it was many, many years ago. Hey, chill out. Don't be so loud while I'm streaming. You know. Cure dog. Yeah, I see you. There was somebody was walking in the rain, and it was like this town called Vassar. It's kind of like it's like a mix between like the country and a city. It's like a bigger area for the being out in the country. I think they had like a Walmart and like maybe another superstore. So it was like pretty well accommodated for like being out in the boonies. Like it's the place that all the surrounding areas would go to shop, but it's still a lot of trees, all right? And they were walking in the rain, and in almost every situation, I would pull over and see if they wanted a ride because I don't like seeing people walk in conditions like that. Like even by my house, we live by a not so great area. It's like we have two really, 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 really nice areas bordering us, and then one like, it's fine, but like I would say slightly up below average in terms of like how safe you'd feel. But like I feel fine there always. And then there's another area that's like pretty fucking shit. And like I don't like going there after night. These are like what borders us. And there was a guy who was so like I mean, you can't necessarily trust whoever you see walking around. But I seen a guy who was walking carrying a tire. And it looked like, like he was going to his vehicle with this tire. And I was like, hey, man, do you want to ride to your vehicle? And he was super relieved. Like, that's how I try to be. Now, if somebody ever tries, like, doing something, that's on me. That's fine. That doesn't mean I was wrong to try to help them. The reason why I didn't pick up the guy who was walking in the rain is because my wife was with me. And I'm still really upset that I didn't help that person, which I'm sure they got wherever they're going fine. That's just I dwell on things a lot, but I didn't have the authority to make that call when the person. I'm not just risking my safety by picking up this person. At that point, I'm risking my wife's safety too. And that's not something that's okay for me to do. I can't decide that for her. And I can't ask her because I know she's going to feel undue pressure to like, quote unquote, do the right thing. But that's not her. That's not her impulse. Her impulse isn't to ask me to pick them up and offer them a ride. That's my impulse. And it's not okay for me to put that on her by asking her to compromise her safety. So that's why I didn't. It still bugs me that I wasn't able to. I think as time's gone on, I've switched it from like I didn't help that person to I wasn't able to. But it's just one of those things that I think about a lot. But if I picked up that person and I was by myself and they did something bad to me, they robbed me, they stabbed me, they take my vehicle or whatever, I still did a good thing. What I did wasn't stupid. It wasn't bad. It wasn't wrong. It just didn't turn out very good for me. That person did a wrong thing. I didn't do a wrong thing. So I think that I finished Tokyo Ghoul. Gonna start Code Geass this week. Based, oh my god. Everything else that I was just thinking about is going on in my brain. If you want to hit me up, like I said, I'll watch the first couple with you if you want in the Discord. We can have a watch party, but I don't care. That's so cool. That's such good news. I'm super excited for you to experience one of the only two perfect shows in the entire world. I'm so excited for you. Well, that I've got to see at least. There might be another perfect show out there, but if there is, I haven't seen it. I'm super excited for you. All that being said, though, I'm going to hop off for now, and I will be streaming tonight later on. This was just sort of a random one because I got to talk to Perspective Philosophy, and I'm not going to not stream that. Perfect show. Yeah, it is a high bar. It is. I've seen thousands of shows and movies, and only two shows I would say are perfect. And there's shows that could have been perfect, but they fucked up the ending. That's the hardest part for shows, I think. Some of the best shows in the whole world have dog shit endings like Lost. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Keep an eye on the Discord. I'll try to give a heads up if I can. See you, Drazi. Hope to see PP come back another time. Me too. He's one of my favorite streamers. I love Perspective Philosophy so much.